why embracing sexual energy might be the missing link to your spiritual evolution. What if I told you that the very thing society taught you to suppress, hide, and even feel ashamed of, could be the key to unlocking your highest spiritual self? I'm not talking about some random meditation or another generic raise your vibration trick. No. I'm talking about something so powerful, so taboo, so misunderstood, that once you fully embrace it, your entire life begins to shift in ways you never imagined. I'm talking about your sexual energy. And no, this isn't just about pleasure or desire. This is about spiritual evolution at the deepest level. You're about to go on a journey with me, one that will expose the hidden truth behind your sexual energy. The force that created you, drives you, and can elevate you beyond anything you thought possible. I'll show you how it's been hijacked, repressed, distorted, and how reclaiming it could change everything. So let me ask you right now, what if the divine doesn't want you to suppress your sexual energy, but to harness it like a sacred flame? This story begins with a moment that shattered my world. Years ago, I was sitting in silence at the edge of a remote temple in the mountains of Bhutan. It was bitterly cold. I had been fasting for days, seeking answers to a spiritual question that had tormented me for years. Why do I feel so disconnected? Even though I've done everything right, meditated, prayed, lived simply, why does something still feel missing? Then, an old monk, barefoot and wrapped in tattered robes, approached me. He sat beside me without a word and handed me a scroll, aged and fragile. On the cover, it had just 4 words etched into gold leaf. Sex is sacred fire. I looked at him, confused. He smiled without speaking and pointed to the sky. The stars make love in silence, he finally whispered. But the whole universe is born from that union. What he told me that day flipped my understanding upside down. He explained how sexual energy isn't just a biological urge. It's the creative force of life itself. The same energy that gives rise to galaxies flows through you and me every day. It is not dirty, not shameful, and absolutely not separate from your spiritual path. In fact, it might be the very bridge between your humanity and your divinity. And then he said something wild. You are not here to kill your desire, he said. You are here to spiritualize it. When you deny it, it becomes shadow. But when you channel it, it becomes light. At that exact moment, I heard what sounded like a crack of thunder, out of nowhere, and the wind roared like a voice from the heavens. The scroll in my hand began to glow faintly. I swear to you, it felt like time stopped. Something invisible passed through me. It wasn't fear. It wasn't pleasure. It was something else. Something cosmic. From that moment on, I knew I had to understand this energy more deeply. Not from textbooks. Not from ancient scriptures. But from direct experience. And what I found blew my mind. In ancient Egypt, sexual energy was considered a divine frequency. In Taoism, they called it Jing, the essence of life. And in the Tantric traditions, it was taught that when sexual energy arises through the chakras, it doesn't just arouse, it awakens. You don't just feel, it expands you into dimensions of the soul. But in modern society, we've turned this sacred force into a product. We've been taught to fear it, control it, or use it to manipulate. And let's be honest, how often have you felt ashamed of your own desire? How many times have you been taught that wanting deeply is weakness, sin, or temptation? But what if I told you that your longing, your fire, your deepest hunger for union, was never meant to be suppressed, but sanctified? Let me show you what happened next. Back in the city, I began a 90-day spiritual experiment. I combined ancient breathing techniques, fasting, celibacy, creative work, and journaling, devoted entirely to observing my sexual energy, not denying it, not indulging it, but channeling it. And something began to happen. On day 17, I woke up at 3:33 a.m., drenched in sweat. My body felt like it was vibrating. But I wasn't afraid. I sat up, closed my eyes, and breathed deeply into my spine. As I inhaled, I imagined my sexual energy, coiled at the base of my spine, rising like golden smoke up through my heart, into my head. And suddenly, I'm not kidding, a vision burst into my mind. I was standing in a vast hall of mirrors, each one reflecting not my body, but a different version of my soul. In one, I was a monk. In another, a dancer. In another, I was a child of light. Each reflection shimmered with energy. And I heard a voice, "This is what you are when your fire is clean." Clean fire. Pure sexual energy. Not twisted. Not suppressed. Just holy. When I opened my eyes, I felt completely reborn. So I kept going. I kept practicing. I kept transmuting. And it was in the 6th week of this experiment that I experienced something that has forever changed the way I see life and death. It was just after midnight. I had been meditating for hours. My heart was still. My mind was like glass. And suddenly, I felt it. A pulse of energy. Rising. Unstoppable. It wasn't arousal. It wasn't lust. It was like a cosmic eruption inside me. The room disappeared. I felt myself expanding beyond my body. I was floating, weightless. My consciousness soared beyond the roof, past the clouds, past the stars. And then, I saw her. A divine feminine being, clothed in flowing light, standing on the edge of a galaxy. She reached out to me with eyes like galaxies. "You've awakened the sacred flame," she said. "But this is only the beginning." And just like that, everything snapped back. I was in my room, shaking, crying, laughing all at once. I wasn't the same. And neither will you be, once you embrace what I'm about to show you next. The hidden temple inside your body, and how sexual energy unlocks its gates. You and I, we've been taught to seek temples outside of ourselves. Cathedrals, monasteries, holy mountains. But what if the greatest temple you'll ever enter is your own body? And the key that unlocks its inner sanctum? It's the sacred sexual energy you've been taught to fear. Let me tell you a story that most people will never believe. But I lived it. And once you hear it, I promise, something inside you will start to wake up. After that cosmic vision, when the divine feminine told me this is only the beginning, I felt like I had been given access to an invisible map. Not a physical map, but a blueprint of the soul encoded in sensation, breath, and light. I started noticing something extraordinary. Every time I honored my sexual energy instead of suppressing or abusing it, my intuition sharpened. My dreams became vivid and prophetic. Synchronicities exploded in my life. Numbers, animals, even strangers delivering messages I hadn't asked for. It was as if the universe was whispering, "Yes, keep going. You're getting closer." Then one night, everything changed. I was in deep meditation, working with an ancient tantric breath technique. My spine straight, my awareness fully inward. I focused on the base of my spine, where many traditions say the kundalini energy rests. Coiled like a serpent. I didn't force anything. I just breathed. Slowly, reverently. Suddenly, it was like lightning struck inside my pelvis. Not pain. Not pleasure. Power. The energy surged up my spine in waves. Like a dragon made of light. Each chakra, each energetic center, lit up in a sequence of colors so intense. I thought I was hallucinating. But I wasn't. This was more real than reality. As the energy rose, I saw something that changed me forever. A hidden temple inside my body. It was made of golden bones and rivers of light. On the altar sat a flame, not burning, but alive. This was my essence, my soul, my untouched divine core. And this flame, this inner fire, had been waiting for me to reclaim it. For the first time in my life, I understood something that no book had ever told me. Your body is a map to the divine, and your sexual energy is the vehicle that takes you there. Not the distorted, commercialized version of sex we see plastered everywhere. I'm talking about sacred sexuality, the fusion of eros and spirit, the union of longing and presence. It's what the ancient mystics knew. It's what modern science is just starting to whisper about in quantum terms. And here's the crazy part. When I started sharing this experience with others, quietly, carefully, with those I trusted, they began having similar awakenings. A woman I met who had battled depression for years told me that after doing the exact same breathwork and intention setting with her sexual energy, she cried for 4 hours. But they weren't sad tears. They were tears of remembrance. She said she remembered herself before all the trauma, all the shame. She said she saw herself dancing with stars. A man who had struggled with addiction for decades told me he finally felt home in his body again. Not fighting it, not escaping it, just being. And that peace, he said, felt more euphoric than any high he'd ever known. This is what happens when you return to your body with love. When you stop treating your desire as an enemy, and start listening to it as a guide. You awaken the temple, and in that temple lives your God self. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever been in love so deeply that it scared you? Not just romantic love, but the kind of presence where time disappears, where your breath syncs with someone else's, where your soul is seen so completely that you want to laugh and cry all at once. That's sacred sexual energy. That's divine union trying to happen. Not just between two people, but between you and the divine inside you. And you don't need a partner to reach it. That's the biggest lie of all. That sacred sexuality requires someone else. No. It starts inside. It starts when you close your eyes and dare to feel your body as holy. When you stop chasing a climax, and start listening for communion. So how do you do this? It begins with presence. Deep, raw, unfiltered presence. Breathe into your body. Notice the places you've numbed. Feel the pulse of your own life force. Sit with it. Love it. Let it rise. Then, intention. Before you act on desire, ask yourself, what am I truly longing for? Is it connection? Union? Recognition? Or is it escape? And finally, transformation. You take that desire, and you breathe it into your spine. You let it rise. Not to get rid of it, but to elevate it. You use it like fuel to awaken your heart, your intuition, your higher mind. You start to notice the fire doesn't burn you anymore, it purifies you. And here's the part no one talks about. When you do this, when you really walk this path, life begins to mirror it. You stop attracting chaos and start attracting clarity. You stop chasing love and start radiating it. People feel something around you they can't explain. Because you've become the temple, the flame, the sacred. But you'll also face tests. Because the world isn't ready for awakened sexual beings. It wants obedience. It wants control. It wants you tame. But guess what? You weren't born to be tame. You were born to burn. Clean. Clear. Divine. I had to face that test too. At the peak of my experiment, I was offered a major spiritual platform, money, followers, influence. But the condition? Don't talk about sexual energy. Keep it pure. Make people feel comfortable. I walked away. Because I refused to betray this truth. I refused to dim this flame. And I know you won't either. You're here because something in you is already burning. A spark. A whisper. A knowing. You are not here to fight your desires. You are here to alchemize them. You are here to merge heaven and earth within your own spine. You are here to wake up the gods sleeping in your cells. This is not easy, but it is the most rewarding path you'll ever walk. So, are you ready to go deeper? Because what I'm about to share next is something I've never told anyone publicly before. The final gate, the spiritual climax, the divine marriage of your soul's masculine and feminine, and the moment where I fully dissolved into the one. The sacred union that exploded my ego and rebuilt my soul from the ashes. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. Not even after the visions. Not after the awakenings. Not after the miracles. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the moment my soul shattered, only to be rebuilt by a love so divine. It burned through my ego like wildfire. It began on the final night of my 90-day journey. I had gone deep, deeper than I ever thought possible. I had fasted for 3 days, meditated for 12 hours, and remained in complete silence. No phone, no distractions, just me, breath, and the pulsing aliveness within. That night, I lay on the floor of my small sacred space, a candle flickering beside me. The air was thick, not with heat, but with presence, a feeling like the universe was holding its breath. I began the breathwork I'd practiced for months, deep, slow inhales into my spine, a gentle inner movement drawing my sexual energy upward, like smoke rising through a flute of light. But this time, something was different. There was no effort, no trying, no visualizing. There was only surrender. And in that surrender, it happened. The energy didn't just rise. It erupted. It exploded like 1,000 suns, tearing through every illusion I had about who I was. I felt my masculine essence, pure, focused, unshakable, and my feminine essence, fluid, vast, electric, collide and merge inside my chest. It was as if I were watching a cosmic wedding happening inside my own being. And then, I disappeared. I left my body, my name, my story. I became nothing and everything at once. Time dissolved. Space dissolved. Even the breath dissolved. All that remained was a field of pulsing love, so vast, so gentle, so infinite, I could barely hold it. And at the center of that field, there she was again. The divine feminine, dressed not in form, but in pure light. Her voice didn't speak. It sang through my soul. "This is what you are," she said. "Not male, not female, not mind, not flesh. You are the sacred union itself. You are creation. You are God remembering God." Tears poured from my eyes. Though my body wasn't there, my heart broke open wider than it ever had before. Not from pain, but from awe. I was witnessing my own resurrection. And then I felt it. The full, undiluted truth of sexual energy. It is not lust. It is not danger. It is not shame. It is the creative intelligence of the cosmos expressing itself through form, through longing, through connection. It is the divine urge to return to oneness through the illusion of two. When I returned to my body, I didn't move for hours. I was reborn. And ever since that night, I've walked with a different flame inside me. One that doesn't flicker in fear. One that doesn't beg for permission. A flame that whispers, "You are holy, even in your hunger, especially in your hunger." You see, we've been lied to. We've been told that spiritual people don't talk about sex. That desire is distraction. That energy in the hips is something to rise above. But here's what the mystics know, and what the new generation must reclaim. You do not evolve by escaping your body. You evolve by embodying the sacred. You do not grow by killing desire. You grow by sanctifying it. Your sexual energy is not an obstacle. It is an oracle. It reveals what your soul truly longs for, union. Not with another, but with everything. So let me ask you a question right now. And I want you to let it drop into your soul like a stone falling into still water. What would happen if you stopped fearing your power, and started loving it? What would happen if you stopped fragmenting your spiritual life from your sensual life, and started seeing them as one glorious dance? What would happen if every breath, every touch, every look in the mirror was a sacred act? I'll tell you what happens. You stop chasing. You stop pretending. You stop performing. And you start living from your center. Not the part of you the world shaped, but the part of you the divine ignited at birth. You become a walking transmission of love, a living flame, a breathing temple. And you don't just evolve. You awaken. So, how do you begin? Start small. Close your eyes right now. Breathe deeply into your belly. Feel it rise like a sacred drum. Now breathe deeper. Into your hips, your thighs, your spine. Feel the tingling, the heat, the sensation. This is not lust. This is not dirty. This is divinity in motion. Now ask it, what are you trying to tell me? Maybe it says you've been hiding. Maybe it says you're ready to rise. Maybe it says nothing, and just wraps you in warmth. Whatever it says, listen. Because that energy is your compass. It's been with you since birth. It guided you through your first breath. It will carry you through your last. And if you let it, it will open doors in your heart that have been locked for lifetimes. But you must choose it. You must choose to meet yourself. Not just in silence, but in fire. Not just in stillness, but in desire. Not just in thought, but in touch. Let your fingers become prayer. Let your breath become offering. Let your movement become devotion. And when you're ready, bring that sacredness into how you touch the world. Because this isn't just about you. This is about every soul who has ever been told they're too much, too hungry, too alive. This is about reclaiming the body as a temple, not a prison. This is about ending the war between spirit and flesh. And you, yes you, are the bridge. So walk it boldly. Burn with love. Speak the truth that makes others tremble. And know this. You are not broken. You are not impure. You are not unworthy of the divine. You are the divine. Now go, light the flame in others. And when the world asks, who gave you permission to burn so bright? You'll smile and say, I did. Because the only thing more powerful than sexual energy is a soul who's no longer afraid to own it. And that, my friend, is how you begin your true spiritual evolution.